What's up, everybody? So, internet is up and running. I stayed with my service provider. Uh, there was a comment about satellite internet, which is a thing. If you didn't know, it could be fine. I've never used it. I didn't have any wanting to because I knew my service provider was in my area. But if you move somewhere a bit more remote or something like that, or let's say your provider you like doesn't service that area and a provider you don't like does, it is an option. But anyways, I just didn't expect it to take that long to get set up, given the new development. I guess it just takes a little bit longer. I didn't foresee that. Uh, if it was a smooth transition internet-wise, I would have never talked about the move or anything. But hey, in this capacity. But since it gave me actual downtime, I wanted to just put it out there. But anyways, with that said, I want to go over some things hobby-wise to consider post move once all of your stuff is at least off the moving truck and in your area, in your home. Um, you have to take stock of what you got, and I'm going to do a separate video for supplies like paints and glues. Like I said, in the future. I want to talk models here because models and bits, because one of the things, especially if it's a move where you're getting reunited with all of your stuff, for a long time I didn't have my complete hobby gear and stuff with me, or most of my actual stuff with me, of anything outside of the hobby and so forth. So I got reunited with everything, and that's really cool. You have to take stock of everything. You have to get things packed away or unpacked and then put away neatly. And you got to take stock of what you have. And I have a lot of crud for this hobby. And that's going to be the last half of this ramble here. But with that, you have to take stock of what you got model-wise. Because bits, you're not going to worry about. If it's on a sprue or it's a bit, chances are it's not going to break unless you have built something. But when you got models, especially stored away, then you got to start looking at stuff. Now, I got off pretty lightly, luckily, because no matter how well you store something, whether you use an army transport bag for all of it, whether it's stored nicely in another way or what have you, things can break. It can break from going from, let's say, your closet to your painting table, or whatever the case might be, or from your closet to the hobby store. It can break then. And the longer the distance is, the more amount of times it's getting packed and unpacked to getting the chance to go. So I got off pretty lightly considering it's been packed and unpacked several times before coming here. As a result, though, you do gotta take stock of stuff. One of the things that I was really surprised about is I have a Iron Father model I made up for the Iron Hands, as a Countess as model for the character from the Bodab War for the successor of the Iron Hands. I figured if it works for them, it could work for an Iron Hand dude. So I painted it up because I had a spare tech marine model with servo harness, and that model's fine. Now, if you ever built, especially the pewter version of it, I don't know if it's still pewter or not. I don't know if that went to resin, but the servo harness pewter is definitely something you want to take care with in building and painting, because it just doesn't. I don't know. I had some finicky issues getting it put together, and I took care to try and keep it secure, and luckily it's secure and no issues with it whatsoever. Cut to a drop pod that I built with working doors and everything. That, however, did not survive very well. It is damaged to the point where I don't think I'm going to try and repair it. Now, that is not a cheap model, I understand, but I look at it like this. Certain models, certain parts of it that get damaged, certain intricate bits that are glued together and what have you, are just not worth trying to repair. Sometimes it'll cause too much aggravation, take too much time, it won't be quite right, where you have to cut your losses. Now, I'm not going to throw it out. I am going to see what I can do with it for maybe an objective, a conversion, a basing supply, for bigger bases and whatnot, put things down, do it as per terrain or what have you. But the end of the day is it's probably not going to be a drop pod again. It's unfortunate, but sometimes this is what happens. I do have a model that got damaged as well that will be worth investing the time in to save, because it's not that badly damaged from what I can tell in the cursory examination I gave it once it was unpacked. And that is my Warhound Titan named Apollo. I don't know if I ever showed off Apollo, but once I'm able to get up and running to do stuff in my hobby area for this hobby again, because I have right now it's cluttered with things to unpack, break down, and put away. Once I get it where I have enough space to operate, Apollo is going to go on another knife to get repaired. Not anything major. The right leg has the armor plate snapped off, which should just be a quick glue on, no problem. I got to just double check how it goes on and then secure it that way. Maybe with some green stuff that I can easily paint up to hide or whatever, just to secure it. And then the back toe of the right foot snapped off. That's gonna take some pinning, some filing down, some getting it to fit proper. Probably some green stuff to hide the cracking or the crack where it broke, and then some touch-up paint there. But aside from that, it doesn't seem to have really taken any further damage. I have to give it a more thorough examination, but that's the current assessment, which is good. So, even if it did, it'd be worth trying to repair, of course. It's a Warhound Titan. Now, what I will say about Warhounds is, and Titans in general, or big models from Forge World in general, is their resin. Resin means super glue, and while it does secure pretty nicely against the resin, it does mean snappage can occur. And it's not as strong as plastic glue on plastic. Now, plastic glue doesn't do stuff on resin, to my knowledge. But my point is, plastic glue with plastic bits is a very nice bond. So with these bigger models, they're really kind of fragile in a way. So you got to be careful. So the fact that it doesn't seem to have any further damage, I'm happy about. But that's worth repairing. So stuff like that, you got to assess, figure it out, and then decide what you're going to deal on after a move. Other than that, nothing else really seems to be problematic. There is a Predator Destructor that I have that I didn't really look too far into, but the top turret is off, which is okay. I didn't glue it down, so you could turn it and whatnot. So it's probably somewhere fine. But if that's too far gone, then that can easily become a wreckage marker or something. So there's things you can do that might not be the best thing to do, but it beats just throwing it out if it's too far gone for you. Just things to consider. Of course, opinions will vary there. Anyways, lastly, kind of what my hobby is going to be about for a bit, aside from painting up stuff. But I got a lot of crud for this hobby. I got a lot of bits, a lot of partially used kits, a lot of stuff. And I don't need it all. I need to really break it down, and I need to basically downsize, not for quitting purposes at all, but for sanity purposes and storage purposes and not cleanliness, but neatness purposes. Got a lot of paints I'm going to be getting rid of because they're bad and they're dry and all that, and now again will be a separate video. I got bits I could organize better into bit bins and all that. I got to find the bit bins I did have going on, and then I got to organize it or redo it or whatever and more properly label what I got. And then maybe even get rid of some sprue pieces or kits, partial kits for forces I don't have any real inclination to play at all. Or whatever. We'll see. Basically, I do need to make this much more manageable because right now it is a little out of hand, all my stuff. This is from all the years of collecting. So instead of going out and buying shiny stuff, what I am going to do is instead really do my due diligence to not do that and instead downsize what I have, which doesn't necessarily mean getting rid of. It can mean taking these 3 sprues and clipping all the bits off of them, storing them neatly, and getting rid of the sprue. That's downsizing, making it smaller and taking up less space. Stuff like that. I will still buy codices when I can and feel like it, for collecting purposes and discussion purposes. But I'm trying to avoid buying models unless they're super, oh my god, I gotta buy it. So no Imperial Knights anytime soon, as much as I love to build an Imperial Knights force. Anyways, that's kind of my plan of attack for the hobby. That's a little bit of a discussion on things to consider after moving when it comes to your models themselves. And really, that's really about it. So videos will come again in time. Now that the internet's up and running, I can start putting them up again. And I will do videos on any other part of the process that I mentioned that I feel is going to be helpful for anybody out there. So I wanted to do this ramble just to kind of discuss some things, because a lot of people are going to be in a similar boat that I am in or was in. You lived somewhere, you moved, you had your stuff stored where you used to live with family, or you put it in a storage container or whatever, and then you finally get reunited with your stuff. What do you do now? Obviously, you unpack it and do stuff, but it's worth kind of mentioning, especially because having that information going into it is always handy. It's not like I was overwhelmed with, oh my god, what am I going to do, because it's very basic and straightforward, but sometimes it does help to hear it before experience it. So there you go. Anyways, thanks for sticking through it. Hopefully you weren't too bored to death, and until next time, take it easy.